With the invention of AI ever growing, ever changing, and ever being an amazing tool, I've decided to use it to generate creepypasta for all of you. If you're interested in spooky and creepypasta type stories, they will be here weekly. They will also be going to my new Reddit page, r/NightmareKrys. I will post the text-based version of my stories over there every week, as well as it's open for submissions of your own. If you would like anyone to read your stories, let it be known in the post. If not, it is your content and no one will be able to use your content without your permission. But thank you for joining. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into the story. The Haunting of Room 418. I was never one to believe in ghosts growing up. I always dismissed the supernatural as just stories to frighten children. But that all changed during my stay at the Crescent Bay Hotel. I was in town for a business trip, the first in what I hoped would be many successful ventures. The Crescent Bay Hotel was a historic building, boasting Victorian architecture and a charming ambiance that drew tourists from all over. I arrived late in the evening, exhausted from a long flight. The warm, inviting glow of the lobby was a welcome sight. After checking in, I was handed an old-fashioned brass key with the number 418 etched into it. The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with a kind smile, mentioned. As I rode up to the 4th floor, I couldn't shake a strange feeling of unease. The air in the elevator felt thick and heavy. A faint chill ran down my spine. Dismissing it as travel fatigue, I stepped out into the dimly lit hallway and made my way to room 418. The door opened with a soft creak, revealing a beautifully furnished room with an antique 4-poster bed, ornate wallpaper, and large windows overlooking the ocean. It was the epitome of comfort, but something about the room felt off. The air was colder than the rest of the hotel, and I could faintly smell a scent that reminded me of old books and decay. I quickly unpacked my suitcase and decided to take a hot shower to shake off the strange feeling. The bathroom was, but that comfort was short-lived. When I stepped out of the shower, the bathroom mirror was fogged up, as expected. But when I wiped away the steam, I noticed something unusual. There was a faint handprint on the glass, too small to be mine. My heart began to race as I stared at it, but I told myself it was just residue from a previous guest and tried to shake it off. I got dressed and sat on the edge of the bed, flipping through the channels on the old television, trying to distract myself. But my attention kept drifting back to the handprint on the mirror. Eventually, I turned off the TV and decided to get some sleep. I had a busy day ahead and needed to be well rested. As I lay in bed, the room seemed to get colder. I held my breath and listened, but the whispering stopped. I must have eventually fallen asleep because I woke up with a start in the middle of the night. The room was pitch black, the only light coming from the faint glow of the moon outside. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized I wasn't alone. There, standing at the foot of my bed, was a figure. It was a woman, her features shrouded in darkness. She wore a long, tattered dress, and her hair hung in tangled, wet strands around her face. Her eyes, the only visible part of her, glowed with a faint, eerie light. I wanted to scream, to move, to do anything, but I was paralyzed with fear. The woman just stood there, staring at me with those haunting eyes. And then she spoke. "Why are you here?" Her voice was a whisper, filled with sorrow and anger. I couldn't respond, my throat dry and my body frozen. She moved closer, and I could see her face more clearly. It was pale, almost translucent, with dark, sunken eyes, and a mouth twisted in a grimace of pain. "Leave this place," she whispered again, her voice growing more insistent. Finally finding my voice, I stammered, Who are you?" The woman didn't answer. Instead, she reached out with a bony hand and touched my arm. Her touch was icy cold, and I felt a sharp pain where her fingers made contact. I gasped and yanked my arm away. The spell of paralysis broken. The woman began to fade. Her form dissolved. I sat up in bed, my heart racing, and I turned on the bedside lamp. The room was empty, but the cold lingered. I looked down at my arm where she had touched me, and to my horror, I saw red marks, like the imprints of fingers, slowly fading. I knew I couldn't stay in that room any longer. I quickly gathered my things and left, heading down to the lobby. The receptionist looked surprised to see me, but didn't ask any questions when I requested a different room. She handed me a new key, and I spent the rest of the night in a smaller, but warmer and more welcoming room on the second floor. The next day, I was too preoccupied with my meetings to dwell on the events of the night before. But when I returned to the hotel in the evening, my curiosity got the better of me. I approached the receptionist and asked her about. She hesitated for a moment before replying. "That room has a history. Many guests have reported strange occurrences, but we thought the renovations would put an end to it." I pressed her for more details, and she reluctantly told me the story. Many years ago, a young woman named Eliza had stayed in that room. She was found dead, drowned in the bathtub, under mysterious circumstances. Police reported that there were no signs of a break-in. She was in the room alone. There was nothing showing on the camera in the hallway that anyone else entered the room, but there were signs of a struggle. She had handprints on her arms that made it seem like she was held under. Since then, guests have reported seeing her ghost, always with the same message: leave. A chill ran down my spine as I remembered the terrifying visit that I had the night before, and I rubbed my arm where I saw the marks when I awoke. I left the Crescent Bay Hotel the next morning, eager to put the whole experience behind me. But the memory of that night stayed with me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Eliza was still there, trapped in that room, warning others to stay away. I never returned to the hotel, and I've never spoken of that night to anyone until now. But sometimes, in the dead of night, I still hear her whispering, leave this place. I wonder if she's ever found peace.